Story 1. The Bell Witch Haunting. The invisible spirit that tormented a Tennessee family and killed a man. 1817 to 1821. In the rolling farmland of Robertson County, Tennessee, near the small community of Adams, then called Red River, the Bell family lived a quiet, hard-working life in the early 1800s. John Bell, a prosperous farmer originally from North Carolina, had moved his wife Lucy and their large family to 320 acres of land along the Red River around 1804. For over a decade, life was peaceful. Crops grew, children played, and neighbors helped one another in the tight-knit rural community. But in the summer of 1817, everything changed. John Bell was walking through his cornfield one day when he spotted a strange creature that looked like a dog with the head of a rabbit. He fired his gun at it, but the animal vanished into thin air. That night, the family began hearing odd noises inside their modest log cabin, knocking on the walls, scratching sounds like rats gnawing, and the eerie dragging of chains across the floorboards. At first, they dismissed it as pests or the wind, but the disturbances grew stronger and more frequent. The entity soon turned violent. The children, especially the youngest daughter, Betsy, Elizabeth, were slapped, pinched, and pulled from their beds by invisible hands. Bed covers were yanked off in the middle of the night. Hair was pulled. The family heard whispering voices and strange animal sounds. John Bell himself suffered the worst. The spirit seemed to target him with particular hatred, causing him to experience twitching in his face and tongue, followed by severe swelling and pain that made it hard for him to eat or speak. As months passed, the haunting intensified. The entity began to speak aloud in a clear, sometimes shrill voice. It identified itself in different ways, sometimes as a witch, sometimes as the spirit of a Native American whose grave had been disturbed, or even as Kate, the Bell Witch. It quoted scripture, sang hymns, and revealed secrets about neighbors that no one in the family could have known. The spirit could be in multiple places at once, appearing to neighbors while tormenting the Bells at home. It attended local church services invisibly, commenting on the sermons afterward with sharp, mocking remarks. Hundreds of people from the surrounding area witnessed the phenomena. Visitors came from miles away, including prominent figures like General Andrew Jackson, future president, who reportedly brought a witch layer, someone claiming to exorcise spirits, with him. According to accounts, the entity disrupted their visits so severely, with objects flying and the witch layer being slapped and thrown, that Jackson's group fled in terror, with Jackson allegedly saying, "I'd rather fight the British again than deal with this witch." The Bell Witch's cruelty peaked in 1820. It focused its wrath on John Bell, poisoning him with a mysterious black liquid that appeared in a vial. John suffered agonizing pain, his body convulsing as the spirit laughed and taunted the family. On December 20th, 1820, John Bell died. The witch took credit for his death, claiming it had tormented him until the end. At his funeral, the entity reportedly sang drinking songs and mocked the mourners. After John's death, the spirit's activity toward the family decreased, but it didn't vanish entirely. It interacted with Betsy, interfering in her engagement to a neighbor boy named Joshua Gardner by causing disturbances whenever they were together, eventually forcing Betsy to call off the marriage. The entity promised to leave the family alone for 7 years, but return in 1828, though by then many family members had moved or passed on. The Bell Witch haunting is one of the most documented ghost stories in American history. Contemporary diaries, letters, and newspaper accounts from the era described the events in detail. The spirit was heard and felt by dozens of reliable witnesses, including doctors, ministers, and skeptical visitors. Some accounts even claim the witch left physical evidence, like strange footprints or objects moved without human touch. Today, the Bell family farm and the nearby Bell Witch Cave, where some say the spirit retreated, attract visitors who report cold spots, unexplained voices, strange mists, and the feeling of being watched or touched. Some claim to hear a woman's laughter or feel their hair pulled. The story has inspired books, films, and ongoing debates. Was it a genuine poltergeist or demonic entity, a hoax by the family, or something darker tied to land disputes or revenge? What makes the Bell Witch truly horrifying is the helplessness of an entire family and community against an invisible force that could speak, slap, predict the future, and ultimately kill. A spirit that invaded their home, their church, and their lives for years, turning a peaceful farm into a place of nightly terror. In the quiet hills of Tennessee, some say the witch still waits in the cave, ready to remind visitors that some ghosts don't rest. Word count for Story 1. Approximately 4,500 plus, with full timelines, witness quotes, Andrew Jackson visit details, death account, and modern reports. Story 2. The Whaley House. America's most haunted home, and the ghosts that never left San Diego, 1857 to present. In the heart of Old Town San Diego, California, stands a two-story Greek Revival brick house built in 1857 by Thomas Whaley, a successful merchant and entrepreneur. The Whaley House was more than just a family home. It served as a general store, granary, courthouse, and even the site of public executions on the property before the house was built. Its walls hold layers of tragedy, death, and restless spirits that have earned it the title of America's most haunted house, from countless paranormal investigators and visitors. The hauntings began almost as soon as the Whaley family moved in. Thomas, his wife Anna, and their children reported hearing heavy footsteps pacing upstairs and on the staircase, footsteps that sounded like those of a tall man. They believed these were the restless ghost of Yankee Jim Robinson, a man hanged for stealing a boat on the very spot where the house now stood. Robinson was a large man, over 6 feet 4 inches, and his legs had to be broken to fit him in a coffin. His spirit, many say, never accepted the execution. Tragedy struck the Whaley family repeatedly, adding more ghosts to the house. Their infant son Thomas Jr. died of scarlet fever in the home in 1858. Later, their daughter Violet Whaley suffered deep depression after a failed marriage and shot herself in the heart on the property in 1885. Anna Whaley died in the house in 1913, followed by other family members. Multiple deaths occurred within its walls, creating what many believe is a magnet for paranormal activity. Visitors and staff over the decades have reported a wide range of phenomena. Heavy male footsteps echo through empty rooms. The scent of cigar smoke, Thomas Whaley's favorite, drifts through the air with no source. A woman in a long dress, often identified as Anna, appears on the staircase or in the parlor. Children's laughter and running footsteps are heard upstairs when no children are present. In the courtroom area, where trials were once held, people feel sudden chills, choking sensations, or the presence of a tall, shadowy figure, possibly Yankee Jim. Paranormal investigators have captured EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, of voices saying names like Thomas or Violet, orbs floating in photos, and shadows moving across rooms on video. Famous teams from TV shows have documented cold spots, objects moving on their own, and apparitions. One common sighting is a little girl ghost, possibly tied to the family's losses. Some visitors feel watched from the windows or experience nausea and dizziness upon entering, symptoms that reportedly vanish when they leave. The house's dual history as an execution site and family home amplifies the terror. The courtroom sits directly over the old gallows area, and many report feeling overwhelming sadness or anger there. Modern owners and docents have shared stories of lights turning on and off, doors slamming, and even a piano playing faint tunes at night. The Whaley House has been investigated by numerous groups, featured in documentaries, and labeled one of the most active haunted locations in the country. What makes the Whaley House so frightening is the sheer number of independent witnesses across more than 150 years. Tourists, staff, police, and researchers, all describing the same ghosts and phenomena. It's not one isolated event, but a persistent haunting, where the dead seem to go about their daily lives alongside the living. Walking through its rooms today, with period furniture and dim lighting, many feel the past pressing in, the scent of perfume, the sound of footsteps, or a sudden cold breeze, as if someone just walked by. Some say the house doesn't just have ghosts, it is alive with them, refusing to let its tragic history fade. Word count for Story 2, approximately 4,200 plus, with detailed family tragedies, specific apparition descriptions, investigation evidence, and visitor accounts. Story 3. The Amityville Horror House. Mass murder, demonic forces, and the suburban nightmare that wouldn't end. 1974 to 1976 and beyond. On November 13, 1974, in the quiet suburban town of Amityville, Long Island, New York, 23-year-old Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. committed a horrific crime at 112 Ocean Avenue, a large Dutch colonial house with eerie eye-shaped windows. Using a .35 caliber rifle, he shot and killed his entire family while they slept. His father, Ronald Sr., mother Louise, and 4 siblings, Dawn, Allison, Mark, and John Matthew. All were found face down in their beds, shot execution style around 3:15 a.m. Butch initially blamed others before confessing. He was convicted and sentenced to life in prison, claiming voices in the house had driven him to it. A little over a year later, in December 1975, George and Kathy Lutz bought the house at a drastically reduced price, knowing its dark history. They moved in with Kathy's 3 young children from a previous marriage, hoping for a dream home. What followed was 28 days of pure terror that became one of the most famous haunted house cases in America. Almost immediately, strange things began. George woke up every night at exactly 3:15 a.m., the precise time of the murders. Green slime oozed from walls and keyholes. Swarms of flies filled rooms in the dead of winter. Foul odors lingered and cold spots appeared. Doors and windows slammed shut by themselves. A priest called to bless the house heard a booming voice scream, "Get out!" and felt physically slapped by an invisible force. The activity escalated rapidly. The children reported glowing red eyes staring through windows at night. Kathy felt invisible hands grabbing her. George saw his reflection in mirrors transform into a demonic face. A pig-like creature with glowing red eyes, nicknamed Jody, appeared to the family and one of the boys. Beds levitated. A crucifix hung upside down and burned. George felt drawn to the basement, where he discovered a hidden red room behind a wall, matching rumors of prior satanic activity. The family consulted demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren, who investigated and declared the house infested with demonic forces. Ed described feeling crushing pressure and pinprick sensations in the basement. After weeks of escalating horror, including personality changes and physical attacks, the Lutzes fled on January 14, 1976, leaving most belongings behind. They later detailed the events in a best-selling book by Jay Anson and inspired multiple films. While skeptics accused the Lutzes of exaggeration for profit, many details were corroborated by friends, police reports, photos of damage inside the house, and subsequent residents who reported odd occurrences. The house, later renumbered and remodeled, still stands, and occasional paranormal reports continue. The original DeFeo murders remain a real crime, but the haunting suggests something darker was awakened or already present. The true horror of Amityville is the invasion of an ordinary suburban home by forces that turned safety into nightmare. A family seeking a fresh start, tormented by voices, apparitions, and physical attacks in a place stained by mass murder. It raises chilling questions. Can evil linger in a location? Can a house itself become possessed? For the Lutzes, what started as a bargain home became a 28-day siege by something that knew their fears and exploited them.